everyone, welcome to Jetersblessings. This is Marjorie. Today I'm going to start off with this beautiful United States Army sign that I got from Craft Outlet. I am going to make a patriotic wreath. I am actually making this wreath for a sweet lady at work. So what I'm going to do is the holes are already punched at the top and the bottom of the sign. And I'm just taking some floral wire, cutting it in long strips, and then actually attaching it onto the sign. So this is how I plan to attach the the sign to the wreath. Now when I put the floral wire in there, I do give it a couple of good twists, trying to make sure that the twists are in or around that hole. That's just something I do. Not necessarily that y'all have to do it, but I just want to try to keep that portion on the back of the sign. Now here I'm showing you, I got this 14-inch wreath frame from the Dollar Tree, and it was broken, so I just go ahead and swap it out with another one. I don't really know how to fix that. I mean, I guess I could try to use some hot glue, but sometimes it doesn't stick the best when it comes to metal. So here I'm showing you the two crossbars. In between the two crossbars is a section, and this has 4 rings. So the inner 2 rings, I'm going to place one pipe cleaner. I give it a good couple of twists, making sure I don't twist it too tight to deform the rings. And then on the bottom 2, I'm going to place 2 pipe cleaners on there. Again, making sure I'm not doing it too tight that it deforms the rings, because this metal is a little bit softer than something that you'll get at like a craft store. And this actually has 6 sections, and each section contains 3 pipe cleaners, so you need a total of 18 pipe cleaners. Now once we have that, I've got this beautiful mesh, red, white, and blue, and I cut it to 30 inches, and I'm about to do the cruffle method. This is absolutely my favorite method to do. I'm just rolling it up 2 or 3 times on the one end, flipping it around, and then rolling it up 2 or 3 more times. And then I'm just walking my fingers up the middle, pinching it together in the middle, and then I'm just going to place that right on top of one of the pipe cleaners. And then I typically give a good 2 or 3 twists of my pipe cleaners. So this wreath does use 2 full 10-inch deco mesh rolls, and you'll see how I work it in just a little bit. But I did cut 18 cuts at 30 inches, and then I will cut the remaining of the mesh at 10 inches, and it uses up the complete roll of mesh. So as I make my cruffles, I just add them right into the next pipe cleaner, and as you could see, even with just one section, I mean, this makes a very full and beautiful wreath. Now the reason I wanted to make this wreath is the lady at work had one child, and it's a memorial wreath for her. Her son several years ago joined the military and ended up losing his life while he was serving our country. So unfortunately, she has no additional children, no grandchildren, and she's such a wonderful, sweet lady. She'll do anything for you. And so when she told me her story of her son, I knew I wanted to do something for her, so she would have something that would keep the memory of her son alive. And so I thought this would be a wonderful tribute to her son. So I dedicate this video to her son, and any of the other members that we've lost, and all of our veterans out there. I appreciate all your service that you do. So as I said, I cut the rest of the mesh at 10 inches, and I just do a pretty wide curl. I just let it curl naturally, and then I make sure that the curl side where the seams are is at the back. I pinch it in the middle, and then I just attach it right on top of one of the pipe cleaners. And so I add one of these curls to every pipe cleaner. Now, using the end of the roll actually helps with the 10 inches because, as you could tell, it has the natural curl from the being on the spool. So it's really nice. You don't have to worry about trying to curl it too much. Not that it's difficult, but the work for the most part is already done for you. Now this wreath was already full without the curl, but I like to use up all of my mesh, and I don't really like to have a whole lot of remnants. If I do, just 21 inches, because then I can actually use a couple of different colored 21-inch mesh and create a different poof base for different mesh. Now you see here I have some camo ribbon, and I have this American flag ribbon, and I'm trying to just make this kind of simple. And what I do is I just take one of the flag ribbons, I cut them at 14 inches, and I dovetailed the ends. And then what I do, I put one of the flag ribbon in, and then after that I'll put in two of the camouflage ribbons. There's only one ribbon tail that goes in each of the pipe cleaners. So a flag, two camouflage, a flag, two camouflage, all the way around the wreath. And then I have this beautiful 1.5-inch angel ribbon. And what I do is I cut those at 14 inches as well. And then I just trim the edges at an angle. And then what I do is I just take and add one of those ribbons right on top of the other ribbon set. And I'll put those in each of the pipe cleaners. So you'll need a total of 18 of those 1.5-inch. Now I add it to the bottom just a little bit different. Here what I'm trying to do is make a little bow, and so I'm trying to measure out and get a good sized bow with a couple of tails at the bottom. And I'll be honest, I don't remember. I want to say the bow, the loops end up being about 3 or 4 inches. And then, sorry it was off camera, but I made one loop. The first loop, which will be the loop, will be the 2 loops on the bow. And then I made one bigger loop at the bottom, and those are going to be the tails. So I attach that right onto the pipe cleaner, and then I trim the excess pipe cleaner off. And then I just take my scissors and I cut at an angle, and it creates the 2 tails. So you'll see here in a minute how I did it. I did the bottom just a little bit different than the top, just because the loops of the bow really would not have made a difference at the top, because we have that sign that's going there. And so it would have just been a waste, really, in my opinion. So here I am, one loop, twisting it to get the pretty side out, showing, and then I make another larger loop. I just pull it down, pinch it in the middle, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it at an angle to make the tails. And then place it right on top of the pipe cleaner. So I did 6 of the 14-inch tails at the top, and then for the bottom I did 12 bows to finish off this wreath. So now I have everything all attached onto the wreath, and I'm just looking at the back of the wreath trying to find a good center point where I can add my sign. And then I just take and weed the floral wire in through the mesh and wrap it around 2 of the bars. I try to make sure that I do not tighten it down too tight, because you don't want the mesh to be sunken in. I like for my signs to look like it's just sitting right on top of the wreath, and not that it's all sunken in, smushed in, or whatever. Here I'm just cleaning up the excess wire, and then once I cut that down, then I will actually fold it under and have the floral wire tucked into the deco mesh. That way it won't hurt anybody or hurt the door or anything that it's on. So here's the finished look, and I love how it turned out. I already gave it to my friend, and she really loved it. So I hope you guys like it as well. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me today, and I hope that you guys have a very blessed week.